Hello everyone and welcome back to Rome Total War Month, or Total War Month in general, because there'll be some Total War Warhammer content coming up later in the month. Because I am quite the Warhammer fan, and I've been waiting for an excuse to crack open my copy of Total War Warhammer, and also because it was a Christmas present from a very good friend of mine, and I'm starting to feel guilty for not playing it. But, today we're doing another Rome Total War multiplayer battle replay thing where we're going to review a multiplayer battle, well, one I fought really because no one sends me any battles they've played, so yeah. I really should ask for submissions actually. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Anyway, so this battle was hosted by this lovely player here. It was a 1v1 on a bridge, which was quite unique, so you don't really see a lot of bridge battles on multiplayer. Funds were pretty generous, and there were no rules whatsoever in what we could bring. We could bring anything we wanted, hence you can already see he's got artillery. So, let's quickly go through my build. I played as a House of Julii on this battle, and my force has 3 units of Archer Auxilia holding the flanks. I did check the area around just to scout around. Made sure that this bridge was actually the only way across the river, so I was safe to put my Archer Auxilia there. My front line are 2 units of Urban Cohort. Backing them up is a Legionary Eagle Cohort, which I'm using for the morale booster. And I've also placed 3 units of more Urban Cohorts in reserve. They're all currently in the Tortoise formation, or Testudo formation, just because I was wary that the enemy might have brought a lot of archers. I didn't think he was bringing artillery, so obviously I need to quickly amend that, otherwise one well-timed artillery shot is going to ruin these guys. Also, I've brought some Triarii, 3 units of which, just so I could hold the area in case he was bringing a cavalry rush. I wasn't really sure what the enemy was bringing. I know the Greek cities don't really do cavalry very well, but I thought I may as well just bring a little bit of everything just to try and hold him off, because that's how I do my multiplayer usually. I try to go for the most balanced build possible, sometimes to a fault really. I also have a unit of Praetorian cohorts in reserve. These were really just brought because I just had a little bit of money left over. And then at the far rear, I have my Roman general. I just didn't bring cavalry in this battle because, well, as you can see, I was running out of money, so I just brought the weaker general. But I thought, you know what, just because it's a bridge battle, I'm probably not going to get a lot of use out of cavalry, so I'm going to just not bother. Because I wanted to try and keep the fight into the bridge, or more to the point, I want to keep it to my end of the bridge, in which you'll see. Anyway, my enemy, who is playing as a Greek cities, has brought plenty of armoured hoplites, about 5 units to be exact, backed up by another 2 units of just regular hoplites, and then 2 units of Spartan hoplites, who are, well, extremely tough. These guys are near enough invincible, especially if you hit them in a front-forward phalanx. Then he's brought a few archers, not really a plenty, but 1 unit, so it's enough to cause some harassment to me. Unit of onagers, which could be very useful because this is a very concentrated area, so artillery has the potential to be massive. 2 units of Greek cavalry, or at least, well, no, what did he bring? No, yeah, 2 units of Greek cavalry, or at least a general's bodyguard and Greek cavalry, but they're more or less the same, so what do I care about them, the different coloured horses? So I was right to bring those Triarii, and then a Greek army general. So as you can see, he's got a very defensive army, I've got a rather offensive / defensive army, and there's a bridge, so let's see how this one played out with me as a House of Julii and him as a Greek cities. Obviously, the first thing I'm doing is my archers are starting to ping off their fire. I went for fire arrows on this one. I'm not really too sure why I did. I think I wanted to try and rout the enemy, but I also wanted to see if I could burn his artillery. But at the same time, it's raining, so it wasn't really going to help. But I thought, right, well, the fire arrows are just going to try and cripple some morale anyway. Maybe if I hit his weak units, but instead I'm just hitting his armoured hoplites. That isn't really very effective for me. But the enemy decided he wanted to go offensive. As you can see, I've switched to a more, well, a more appropriate version of fire. But he decided to bring his armoured hoplites forward, then he just turned around for some reason, which meant I could just get a few free shots in the back. Instead, he was bringing his archers forward. Really didn't know why. I'm guessing his archers didn't really have that much range on them, not as much as my Archer Auxilia. So instead, he just starts marching his armoured hoplites across, which I guess is fair enough. Armoured hoplites are really more of a defensive unit, but they're still enough to probably give me some trouble if he could deploy them properly. But he thought, right, he's going to cross the bridge. Well, fair enough. I moved my urbans just to hold the bridge. I had very few doubts that my urbans could hold this bridge. He decided to bring a few of his these artillery. This is just fire arrows. But I decided, right, if he wants to come across, he's putting himself into a phalanx. I'm going to have to maneuver accordingly. try and see if there's a way of catching him out. So what I'm doing here is I'm moving units to the side, moving more units to the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and box his phalanx in, which means while there is one unit in the front, and it's going to be these unfortunate cohorts, unfortunately having to take the front fight. But these guys are being used as an offensive phalanx, which already makes them quite less effective. His archers are already starting to rout and run. But if he's surrounded, his phalanx is just going to be useless, so I can just do everything. Also, he's getting hit by pillars on every angle possible, which is just making life even worse for him. He is right now just walked right into a killing pit, and this was basically my trap, and this was my main strategy for this battle. I just wanted to really, really make him suffer, so... Well, alright, that sounds really cruel, doesn't it? But what I wanted to do was I wanted to keep him boxed in. Now, some of my units did get a little bit distracted. They decided to pursue these archers, had to try and rein them in as quick as possible before they wandered off and cost me the battle. He's just continuing to be consistent with his fire arrows. Isn't really working there. Earthen cohorts just have such a huge morale bonus anyway. It's really not going to work. And at this point, I managed to break his armored hoplites. Because, well, they were boxed in, they were ineffective, so that was one battle won. But he was going to bring his cavalry over now, hoping for just a quick sneaky flank charge. Sort of worked. Greek cavalry is pretty light though, so he wasn't really going to get very far, and most of them actually just died on impact. Which I did find quite surprising actually, and somewhat actually very funny. I know Greek cavalry isn't brilliant, but I thought they would at least get some sort of charge, but this was pretty much the level of watching round shield cavalry at the minute. And I did bring my triarii quickly anyway, because I saw the cavalry coming before, and I thought, right, better bring some triarii in. Didn't really need to in the end, but at least now I have extra units to use as reserves on the flanks. But now the ball was more or less in my court, so I was umming and ahhing, should I just go and take the fight to him? But at the same time, taking the fight to the enemy wouldn't really be the best option right now, because he still had plenty of armoured hoplites left, regular hoplites, and the fearsome Spartans, which were now on the move. And really, he basically just had an impenetrable line. Maybe if I could penetrate this line, it would be very tough because I lacked cavalry. But I just knew it wouldn't work out for me in the end. But since some of my units had moved into range of his artillery, he was starting to lose some off. Continuing to pound away with the fire arrows up, but it was just completely ineffective against the urbans. I was moving to a test Tudor formation to come across. This was not a good idea on my part though, because obviously if his artillery got a lucky hit, then it wasn't helping. But I was just doing this to deter away from his arrow fire, because I was going to come over the bridge now. I very quickly decided this was... Ooh dear, and yeah. That's when I realised the test Tudor formation was not a good idea. But really what I needed to do was I probably needed to turn around at this point, which I actually ended up doing anyway. Because I just realised that, yeah. One, a test Tudor formation is just a brilliant target for artillery to hit. Two, he's using Spartan hoplites, so he's going to be using them defensively, even if I've got arrow support in. There's going to be my friendly fire coming in. But then his guys drop their spears for some reason, so then that just gives me a slight advantage. Well, barely advantage. In a sword fight, these guys are still not quite evenly matched. The Spartans are still extremely tough, mainly because they just have the biggest morale bonus in the world, and, well, the Spartans fight, and they were just, and as you can see, they were just not losing any morale at all. My guys were just losing men very quickly because they were just basically now facing a Spartan phalanx. A rout was probably going to be inevitable from these guys. For some reason, I decided to bring in more reinforcements, but I was going to quickly realise that, you know what I'm doing here is I'm in a losing battle. Yes, I might have a chance that he might start shooting his own units in the back, or his artillery will just do one really clumsy shot, but no. I'd already lost a lot of urban cohorts there. This unit is now down to way below half strength, so I've turned the other guys back, saying, right, no. Oh, and that was another bad artillery hit for me there. That was really... Oh, some of my guys did get up, though, so some of them were very, very strong when taking artillery hits right to the back, but these guys just thought, yeah, no. Let's just retreat. We're not going to... Oh, and yeah, that was a bit clumsy on my enemy's part as well. But I decided that, no, I'm not going to be able to fight him on the bridge. What I need to do is I need to get him on my side of the bridge where his phalanx will be able to move around on my territory, but I'll be able to quickly maneuver and counter-maneuver him. His artillery hits were still remaining quite accurate, though. He was putting holes in my eagles, putting holes in my reserves. So he was wearing my numbers down quite effectively. Not doing much against my morale though. Even if he was using fire rocks, it was just still keeping my guys very strong because I was holding my side of the battle. My general hadn't died or routed yet because I was keeping my general far in reserve. Because I just knew that killing him off would just not work. My general's actually moved over here now. He just went for a walk because I felt like telling him to. I was actually having him scout the area out just to double check that nothing could be done with these riverbanks. But he's moved some more cavalry in, and once more, failing to learn from his previous encounter, his cavalry just made an atrocious job of what they were trying to do. Tried to move him away and charge into my nice loose formation of urban cohorts, but all that did was just cause an instant rout, so that was those guys written off. But I still had the Spartan hoplites to deal with, who were just making their way over the bridge. Making their way slowly over the bridge, but still, they were there, and they were still going to pose me a big problem. I was still very worried about them. Fire arrows were continuing to hit me, but we're starting to hit the Triarii as well, which they were the only unit I was concerned about losing to a fire arrow attack. I thought these guys might actually start to feel the morale consequences, but they were holding very, very strong. I do believe I actually did give these guys extra experience anyway. And for those who are wondering why I have Triarii, I have a pre-Marian unit fighting alongside a post-Marian urban cohorts, well, when I was in the pre-battle screen looking at the stats, I actually worked out that Triarii, while a little bit more expensive, actually just statistically better than regular auxilia. They have more morale. Oh, by the way, that was a bad shot. They have more morale, more attack, and more defense. So I just thought, well, why not just use more Triarii then? Because they're clearly tougher. So yeah, just use a tougher unit, and that's going to give me better counter-cavalry tactics. Auxilia may be good, they may be cheap, they may be numerous, but at the end of the day, I had the cash to splash, and splash the cash I did. If it just meant cheaping out on my general, but whatevs. Still losing more units to that artillery though, which was why I was putting units to loose formation, but at the same time, he was now starting to fire at this conflict zone here, and while it was more likely he was going to hit my units with his units, a very poorly aimed shot was going to still take out a huge chunk of Spartans, and once more, yeah. Some of his artillery shots weren't going on very well. Probably not the best idea to use artillery when the weather's absolutely terrible and the wind's probably just going to blow all these shots off course, but whatever, I'm not a meteorologist, I'm just here to watch things die. Still, the Spartan hoplites had gotten themselves well into the battle at this point, and let's see, they were still fighting. Defeat was a distinct possibility, but they still just weren't losing morale. Spartans could hold out for... I think they can hold out for at least 5 minutes in just a straight up fight and just still not lose any morale. That is how tough the Spartan hoplite is. So I was still very concerned at this point. He even started bringing in his general's bodyguard, but even well, actually, the sneaky thing was that general's bodyguard wasn't even his general. His general, where was that going? I missed. His general's. Oh, I missed again. His general unit was actually the onager. He basically kept his general very, very far away. So I guess I was something of a tactical genius on his side, because that meant I probably wasn't going to touch his general very easily, so he could at least keep his general in the battle and keep that little morale bonus and not have the big morale penalty that would come with it. But at the same time, not using an actual general's bodyguard would probably mean he'd lose out on the morale boosting rally effect, if that's true. I'm pretty sure that general's bodyguard without a command unit in it don't have the rally effect. I've never tried that. I'm going to have to try that now, actually. And that's why I always use regular general's bodyguard though, because I like to have that rally effect, because it can really help out if I'm having a mass rout. Sometimes it does work. It can bring units back, and it can just keep me in the game a little bit longer. And, well, sometimes it can even help me win. Rarely, but it can. Anyway, at this point, my Triarii were breaking. The Spartans were just really, really getting into this battle, so the Triarii were breaking. Not really a surprise. Triarii aren't as good as urban cohorts naturally, but still, these guys had still done a very, very exemplary performance. But the armoured bodyguard was beginning to cause problems alongside the Spartans. They were hitting me hard. The artillery was still hitting hard. It was still causing some issues. My archer auxiliary at this point as well had run out of ammo. They had pretty much expended it all, and the rest I think they just died because of artillery fire again. So I was just trying to move in everything I did, because as you can see here, I'm beginning to lose control of the area. And if I lose control of this area, it's not going to be the end of the world for me, but at the same time, it's not really going to work out, because he would still be free to move. And if he got the chance to build a new line out of phalanxes, then it wasn't going to work out. But speaking of phalanxes, the enemy, he was just now throwing everything he had now. He wanted to break through, so he was throwing every last phalanx unit he had at me. Some were staying in phalanx formation, others were just breaking formation. Spartans were still holding strong now, but they weren't going to hold out forever now. I think they were starting to lose. Yeah, the Spartan hoplites had actually, their morale had dropped down to shaken, so that meant they were going to lose. I was bringing in more reinforcements, even though I was now at a point where maybe I was getting a little bit too forward, because I was at a point where they could actually now effectively form a phalanx. rather than being here where I could surround them. So if they were starting to get kills, but some of my units were just managing to creep around sides, still get those oh so precious flank attacks against the enemy. But at this point, it was just still pretty much in my favour, because I still, at the minute, had 3 units of urban cohort still kept in reserve. And I think that's one thing you need to think about in battles, actually, and it's one thing I've been trying to be more aware of now in both campaign and multiplayer. You need to keep reserves, because you never know what's going to happen. Your tactic may be infallible, but there can always just be something completely unexpected which could just blow your tactics up and just, you know, make the battle go out of your favour. And I realised at this point that, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, so I decided to bring my units back. I decided to reform my traps, see if the enemy would pursue my units and fall for it again. He was bringing his general into the battle at this point, by the way, because his honour just had finally run out of ammo, so at least I wasn't going to be getting my units taken out by artillery, but at the same time I wasn't going to be able to enjoy the benefits of his friendly fire, which had managed to take out quite a few of his units. But yeah, you need to keep reserves. I also knew that if he was out of artillery, I was safe to form a new test Tudor. So that's what I did, just because his archers were still firing away, so I thought, just in case, you never know, put these guys in test Tudor and I should be safe for a little longer. But yeah, always keep reserves, basically. Just, you know, they don't have to be your strongest unit, but since I had basically all urban cohorts, I could just get away with it. But reserves can either be moved in at later dates, or they can be used to form new battle lines if you're starting to lose. But, you know, it's just good to have a backup plan, basically. Archers will go for my untest Tudor legionary cohorts, a little bit annoying, but he was making the right decision targeting a unit that wasn't in test Tudor. But the reason why I wasn't putting these guys into test Tudor was because it would take too long to form one. And I wanted to bring these guys here again, because as you can see once more, I'm just making my sliding doors of death. Decided to bring in my Praetorian cohorts, because I thought, right, may as well just bring these guys in. Another weaker than the urban cohorts, but hey, I can use these guys as this is basically like, you know, just a quick ballast to hold this area. Still not really doing too well here. The phalanxes are holding up. The Spartan hoplites are still existing, actually. They were just absolutely brilliant in this battle, but then again, Spartan hoplites always are fantastic. I mean, I've learned this from using them myself and just by losing. These guys are actually doing a really cool synchronized attack now, so they were really being organized. But his Spartan hoplites were still really beginning to lose morale. It's beginning to drop. They were down to the last 10 men, actually. That is how good Spartans are, though. I mean, they took out basically, you know, a few units of my Praetorians, and they were still just absolutely going for it. They were still going hell for leather. But they were exhausted, so there was still that lovely little idea that I could do that. But my fresh Praetorians just let loose a huge wave of Pilums. Yes, once more, risk of friendly fire, but I just thought, yeah, just go for it. Might be able to take out those last few Spartans, or just, you know, just start weakening those hoplites. I mean, Pilums were just going as far as I could, actually, and then again, my unit of urbans broke. Still get them down to 26 units though, so while not as brilliant as the Spartans, you know, there's still some sort of comparison to be made. They're still very, very strong units, so well done me. But they were without urban cohorts, or these Praetorian cohorts, they were ready to make up a new defensive line. Enemies moving in to basically attack, but he wasn't really able to form a phalanx in time, and he was basically doing exactly what I wanted. I wanted the enemy to now start focusing on these Praetorians, because he thought, yeah, they're a bit weak. But once he's fully engaged with these guys, I can bring these two guys in. Door close, bang, 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 wham, bam, thank you, man. Enemy gets killed. Also, his units were just now completely stuck. He was just stuck. And out of desperation, I think he wanted to just throw his general in. But really, I'm not really sure why, because his engineers were basically peasant units and they were stuck anyway, so we couldn't really do anything. But basically, you know, if throwing him into there, that would just be suicide. They'd all die, but I don't think he even got there, because at this point we're very close to the end of the battle, actually. I think it's fair to say you can probably tell who won this battle at the end of the day. I thought this was a very good battle. Victory did end up going to me. I'm just going to say that now, because yeah, we are at the end of this battle basically. The enemy just admitted defeat because he realised that my tactic was just beating him. I wasn't coming over the bridge. I was just going to play defensive. He did end the battle in good faith, though. You know, there was no like nastiness. There was no like calling me a camper or anything. You know, yeah, I guess in a way I was camping, but at the same time I did take the aggressive foot at some points. But I just realised that taking the aggressive footing in this battle, especially on this map, was just not going to work out for me. It was a strategic mistake. So I thought, right, you come to me because I know you're using phalanxes. you're going to lose on the offensive, and I will be able to win on the defensive. Whereas if I went on the offensive, and while I did have offensive-capable units, armoured hoplites and Spartan hoplites excel in defence, so I was just going to lose. So once more, his units were coming in. I went in to seal my trap. Enemy realised, oh god, he's doing this again. He's going to seal the trap. I'm going to get surrounded. These units, which are already close to breaking, are just going to break. And that was just going to be the end of him. So he just admitted defeat, and that was it.
Today.
The Greeks broke. And that was the end of the replay. I think if I hit the S button again, I will get to see the battle stats. But it was overall a very fun battle. Quite unique because, once more, bridge battles are very rare to see on multiplayer. But I guess this battle might be an example of why. But it was quite fun to have a battle with no rules, so we got to see some artillery in multiplayer. But yeah, once more, really, I guess the moral of the battle is keep some in reserves, even though we didn't really get to see much action. But you know, they're always there, they're always useful. And really, just know when to go on the offensive and when you need to go on the defensive. I think that's probably one of the key choices in battles. Know when to go offensive or defensive. Because if you make the wrong one, you could be throwing yourself into a battle you can't win. But if you go on the other footing, you might just win. Obviously, it isn't really that easy in campaign battles and stuff with the AI, because obviously it's obviously pretty much decided who's going to be the aggressor and who's going to be the defender. But you get what I mean. It's just sometimes a good idea to try and decide your footing and try and bribe your enemy over. So that's where I'm going to call that a battle. I hope you've enjoyed. I think if we hit the exit button, we do get to see some lovely stats. No, we don't. Oh, well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next time. Yeah. How do I get the stats up? I do not know. But either way, yeah, clear victory for me. Have a lovely day, folks.